Another niche character, huh? We just had won the previous banner. Evernight. Being locked to only remembrance teammates, is even more niche than her predecessor, Cerydra, or if that is even the right word for it. Just like Cerydra, here are some niche use cases. Do note that they are all pretty much off meta, but I will explain how it could work, but take note that it's not best in slot, okay? First, let's take a look at a quick summary of Evernight. Evernight's playstyle is very similar to Castorice. Okay, I will try to break this down into 4 sections. Right, so first, her gameplay. Use any ability, so basic skill, ultimate, etc, memo sprite skill and all that. Drains Evernight and Eevee's HP. Eevee is her memo sprite. Skill costs HP, just like Castorice, not SP, so you just need to use your skill. Very similar to Castorice. Okay, the skill heals Eevee if Eevee is already on the field for 50% of their HP. Any memo sprite uses an ability, she gets 5 energy and 1 memorial. So this is how you get back her out, and this is how you stack memorial. Her out is 240 cost, by the way. Eevee is single target, prioritizes the last target Evernight hits, so this is similar to Garment Maker. Every time Eevee attacks, +1 memorial. Every time Eevee explodes, 10% speed buff to Evernight. If you explode Eevee via 16 memorial, the action, which I'll talk more about this in a bit, 1% speed buff per memorial, up to 40 memorial, and you cannot stack this buff because the next Evernight turn removes this speed buff. You can kinda treat this like Castorice like Cone, where she sorta advances herself forward after Pollux explodes. In this case, Eevee explodes. Now, so once you get her out, right, and then you use her ultimate, she'll enter the Darkest Riddle state. She'll get 2 charges of this, uses 1 when you use the 16 memorial action to advance Eevee. More on that later, okay, hold on. So during the Darkest Riddle state, all enemies will get a 30% damage taken vulnerability, similar to Triby's Field. And then both Evernight and Eevee will get 60% damage buff, and they are both immune to crowd control. Also, during this state, whenever Evernight uses a skill, she will generate 12 extra memorial. Okay, now dealing damage. Okay, we can finally talk about the 16 memorial. Whenever you have at least 16 memorial, Eevee will get advanced. Treat this like Castorice new butt and the dragon attacking. So Evernight is Castorice, Eevee is Pollux. And when this happens, you get 1 skill point. So when Eevee advances, then Eevee does the thing, so that's your main damage. That's the main source of your damage. Okay, then finally, what kind of buffs she provides? CD buff to Elyskye memo sprite. Note there is only memo sprite, so summons don't count. 24% of a crit damage 2 turns. Another 60% CD buff for 2 turns to both Evernight and Eevee when either of them lose HP. And then while Evernight is alive, 50% damage buff again to both Evernight and Eevee. And then when there are 1, 2, 3, 4 remembrance, you get this amount of crit damage. Lastly, Technique gives a free skill like Rami and Triby at the start of the battle, giving Memo Sprite crit damage and 1 memorial. That's a lot, right? Hopefully the text on screen simplified it enough for you to understand. I tried to trim it down as much as I could. But TLDR, right, is basically almost the same as Castorice, as I said.
High Cloud Quintet. It is time to say goodbye.
Jingliu is a very surprising thing, you might be wondering. Absolutely zero synergy, right?
Yes!
It doesn't even have memo sprites. What am I even cooking here? Am I burning the kitchen? But hey, this is an off-meta video already, so let's cut the elitism. Jingliu appreciates HP drain as a bonus to get back synergy stacks. So an example team will be like this: Jingliu, Sunday, Evernight, Hyacinth plus Hyacinth like Cone. She now has a second character that can also drain HP. Her best in slot team wants Hyacinth, which Evernight also wants conveniently. Jingliu herself can also drain Evernight and Eevee's HP to stack memorial. In a way, they kind of complement each other somewhat if you run them in dual DPS. Not completely break, However, Castorice here is much better as she has team-wide drain. Sunday can also only buff one character at a time, and you will probably be buffing Jingliu as she wants the energy. Jingliu also can't benefit from Evernight's buffs since she has no memo spread.
Adorned in splendor, bathe in gold.
E1 Aglaea. Yes, if you don't want to feel terrible, a sample team will look like this: Aglaea, 3B, Evernight, and Hyacinth. 3B will buff both Aglaea and Evernight. Garment Maker's consistent attacks can stack Memoria and energy for Evernight pretty quickly. Hyacinth is a sustain and a HP buffer for Evernight. And lastly, Evernight can provide buffs to Garment Maker plus Little Ika and can be a sub DPS. Could be an interesting team comp to try out. Wait, is that it? Just 2? Yeah, kinda for now. We don't have much to work with. However, I want to say one thing, and this might sound copium, honestly. She kinda just needs Hyacinth plus Hyacinth's Light Cone. So Hyacinth can be a universal sustain, and then for any team that you can slot an extra character, she could probably just insert herself in. And that's not all, okay? She can provide one thing. Every time EV explodes, +1 skill point. Yes, I know there's jokes out there about characters being skill point generators, okay, I know. But she consumes none, so she can generate skill points and can sub DPS. Better than nothing, right? Since Evernight's damage is pretty decent herself, especially if you get E2 Evernight, she could be the next Elyskye. We won't know yet. Only time will tell, and there's still Siren in the next patch. However, she still faces the problem of being restricted to remembrance teams. Unlike Elyskye, you can just plop him there, and then you just put the standard hyper carry setup and he'll work. And with that, that is all for this video. Thank you for taking your time to watch it. Good luck on your Evernight pulls. I hope you win your 50-50 and your 75-25 if you're going for the light cone. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more. I'll be doing some Evernight showcases in the coming days. That's all and take care. Bye bye.